Do 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 bum 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 ba dum bum 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 ba dum 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 do 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 ba do 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 bum bum ba da bum bum ba da bum bum ba da. I need a dollar, dollar, dollar. That's what I need. Hey, hey. I need a dollar, dollar, dollar. That's what I need. Hey, hey. I need a dollar, dollar, dollar. That's what I need. If I share with you my story, will you share your dollar with me? Ba-doo-doo, I had a good job, but the boss man let me go. He said, I'm sorry, but I won't be needing your help no more. And I said, please, Mr. Boss Man, I need this job more than you know. But he gave me my last paycheck, and he sent me on out the door. I need a dollar, 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 that's what I need. Hey, hey, I need a dollar, 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 that's what I need. Hey, hey, I need a dollar, 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 that's what I need. If I share with you my story, will you share your dollar with me? Come on, share your dollar with me. I said share your dollar with me. Come on, share your dollar. Give me your dollar. Share your dollar with me. Yeah. Do-do-do-do. Ba-dum-da-dum. Hey guys, Silver 5150 here with some Aloe Black, and I need a dollar. I need a dollar. We don't really need dollars, but we kind of use dollars to get what we want. All right. So yeah, Aloe Black, he is a musical artist from the UK. I don't think he's got a lot of play over here in the United States, but maybe he has. That's like his most popular song, so maybe you guys heard that before. But I think that I Need a Dollar by Aloe Black fits our theme today. All right. We're going to talk about manipulation, trickery, inflation spoofing, and the art of delusion. All right. The art of delusion. You guys saw what happened this morning with the market reports. Guys, it's D-Day. It is D-Day. It is doomsday. The market should be rolling over down into the teens by now. But they're doing everything they can to make sure it all stays upright. All right. So before I start, I want to ask you guys, if you haven't subscribed, to go ahead and please do so. And when you do the notification bell, click it to all if you enjoy the content. That way you won't miss out on anything. And you also won't miss out on the multiple giveaways we have planned at 1,500, 2,000, and 2,500 subscribers. Okay, we're going to be doing multiple giveaways for each of those milestones. And I think 1,500 is like Wednesday. All right, so make sure if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. When we run the algorithm, it's going to pick your name out of the comments for a video I will post later about the actual the giveaway later this week. All right, so if you want to support the channel further, by the way, just go ahead and like this video by giving me a thumbs up, okay? And share this video with anyone you think that could benefit from it, all right? And now, on to our show. What do we have here? We have Royal Canadian Mint 2020, 4/9 fine AU or gold, Maple Leafs. This is a 1 ounce Maple Leaf. As you can see right there, it says 1 ounce focus. And these are all 10th ounces, okay? 10th ounce Maple Leafs. Now, I would love to say, because, you know, I'm still holding gold, I would love to say that these are mine, but they're not. These are part of a friend's stack. He's going to get them back here pretty soon. And I'm just using them for the show today to give you guys a little something different to look at. We'll go back to silver tomorrow. But today, we're going to enjoy some Royal Canadian Mint gold. There's a queen. Got to get her in. Okay. Top billing's done. Crooked. Fix that. All right. So, yeah, these right here, these are 2020s. And guys, I'm going to tell you something. There's something very seminal about 2020. We know that the economic system is going to crack up in a way that everybody's going to notice. But that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is 2020 coins of all kinds. If they're marked 2020, or are they for the year 2020, or, you know, they are part of, even parts of new 2019, like the 2019 Libertad, as you guys saw, took off mainly because Mexico mines and Venezuelan mines and I think it was mines in Chile, silver mines in those countries, they shut down for that mining gap that we'll talk about later this week. So, anyway, if you're able to get sovereign 2020 coins, even those Athena Owls, which I did not get today, I opted for something a little more premium. I'll tell you guys about that tomorrow. So I left some owls for you guys. I did not buy them all. I didn't buy any more. In fact, if there's some left later this week when I get paid, I will go ahead and get some. But I got some really cool today that I think you'll enjoy, and I'll share with you later. But yeah, get some 2020 coins of any kind. or rounds if they're marked as 2020. This year is going to be a year for the ages in terms of what the economic system is going to do, how precious metals are going to play in it. Even if it's just metals manipulation, it's going to be so epic at this point that 2020 coins will benefit from that history. And that's the thing. It's like we want to be a part of history, and this is a great way to be a part of it year to year. And 2020 is going to be an exceptional year on top of the other years of craziness and manipulation and all kinds of stuff. So we'll go ahead and focus in on the big boy, the big leaf, while we talk a little more. All right. So today I had a question I thought was very, very important. I took some time to answer it, and it was a question by a subscriber. And I think it'll help us get back to basics. Basically, my subscriber wanted to know my opinion about constitutional silver, which some call, unceremoniously, they call it junk silver. All right. But look here. I've been trying to avoid this question because, man, it brings up so much debate, and people are so strong on one side or the other. Well, I'm strong on the one side. All right. So my thoughts are this. When it comes to constitutional silver, there are so many variables as far as I'm concerned. There's so many variables, right, that it actually turns silver, to me, silver transacting, it turns it into work. I mean, because you got two different timelines, which there were two different levels of purity. From 1932 to 1964, constitutional silver was 90%. So that was what? That was 32 years. From 1932 to 1964, constitutional silver was at 90%. Didn't matter if it was dimes or quarters or half dollars or dollars. And then in 1965, there was a reduction in the purity from 90% to 40%, all right, which the U.S. Treasury had going but completely abandoned in lieu of pure base metals in 1976. So that was what? 11 years. So 32 years from 1932 to 1964 at 90%, that was your constitutional silver. That was Franklin's, Roosevelt's. There were Eisenhower, I think, dollars. There were, like I said, I think Franklin half dollars, something like that. And then, of course, the Washington quarters and the Eisenhower dimes were all part of that. I think the Mercury dimes might have been before that. I don't know. Anyway, so 90% those years, 32 to 64. And 40% from 65 to 76, all right? But the Treasury, like I said, abandoned that whole idea of using silver because silver had become too valuable to be money at that point. But more importantly, it would place restrictions on government spending. Okay, let me back up a little bit. So you guys remember, a lot of you guys don't remember, 1971, Nixon comes on TV and he has a National State of the Union address. And the Union address is how basically he's going to take the world, not just the dollar, but the world off the gold standard, because the dollar was the currency everybody was using. But at that time, before 1971, it was backed by gold. So everybody was kind of cool with it. We kept their gold for them in safe storage. But then once we came off of that gold standard, the French prime minister at the time, and gosh, I wish I could remember his name. He was really pissed off. He was jumping up and down talking about, okay, if they're going to go ahead and decouple from gold, why in the world, are we going to keep our gold with them? We may as well keep our gold with us. And so when he said that, man, that created like a stir in the international community, and people wanted to, you know what? Yeah, we should get our gold too. And so Britain and all these countries that, were part of the World War II pact, where we were keeping their gold safe from, any kind of other threats, they were thinking the same thing. And so that caused gold to actually start going up in price. And that's how we ended up in 1980s with the big spike to 950 and all that. That's a different story. All right, but basically, decoupling from precious metals, decoupling from what would be sound money, and that's using precious metals as money, does put limits on governments, because the limit is the limit in the actual resource, and there are limits to gold and silver. So they can only grow the government to the size of the amounts of gold and silver that could be monetized, and that wasn't even going to be close to being able to do. Once we decoupled from the gold standard and from silver earlier on, it freed the government to use just fiat currency, because remember, in 1971, Nixon said, even though the dollar will be decoupled from gold, the dollar will still be as good as gold because it's backed by the pure faith and credit, the full faith and credit of the United States, which was actually pretty good back then. I think it was like AAA plus rated or something. We're not that anymore. Just in case you guys are wondering. United States, I think we're like single A or double A minus or something. We've gone down quite a bit because of all the spending and printing we've done. But that's another story too. All right. Constitutional silver for me, it's just a lot of work. So now let's think about this. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not bad, but compared to what you could get, you've got constitutional silver. It comes to you sometimes in a big bag. You can buy a few pieces and stuff. But when you buy constitutional silver, you can get it in different conditions. All right. And the different conditions are, pretty much, I guess, one or two or three ways. There's what's called the smoothies, all right, which are not the ice cream or the ice drinks you love. Smoothies are basically coins that have been circulated so much you can barely tell what they are. So as such, they've suffered wear. Those coins have suffered wear, and that means they've been diminished in weight. So not only do you have the offset disparity of 90% or 40% silver in your silver coinage, in your constitutional silver, now you've got the weight issue, all right? So keep that in mind. And then there's some that are known as barely circulated. Barely circulated means that they were minted, but they didn't really make it out in circulation. They've been banged around a bit. They may have mild culls and stuff like that, but they still pretty much have their full weight, and they're in pretty decent condition. And then, of course, between the smoothies and the barely circulated are what's ever in between, okay? So what's ever in between. Look at the same coins here. So you got those two variables right there. You've got the, the condition, right? And then there's the purity level. So now you take those two variables, and here you are trying to explain to Joe the vendor or the store owner why he should give you a gallon of gas for a 1965 Roosevelt dime that you're brandishing proudly, when he's got a drawer full of base metal ones that look exactly like it. I mean, yeah, he doesn't really know the difference yet. I mean, he'll know at some point, right? But, unless you're going to be holstering a Sigma Verifier or a precision scale, prepare to have your work cut out for you. Well, at least in the beginning. Now, over time, people will figure it out. They'll come around and they'll start to get it. But while that's happening, or while you're waiting for that to play out, guess who's going to be running rings around you? As silver starts to come out of the shadows and people start to accept it as money. Guess who's going to be running rings around you? Okay? Buying up every distressed asset that's not nailed down while you're mired in the verifying, weighing, explaining stage. Right? You're going to be sitting there with your scales and your verifiers and all that stuff. And meanwhile, 4 nines or somebody is going to come around and he's going to buy the gas out from under you because he's already got, his bullion grade, half ounce, quarter ounce, 10th ounce, or gram fractional silver rounds, coins or bars that are already clearly struck and with the weight and purity, and in some cases they're even assayed, uncirculated, and ready to go. See, that's my point. My point is this thing is going to boil over so fast that you really don't want to spend time trying to vet constitutional silver when there are base metal facsimiles of those same coins all over the place. It's just hard for people to wrap their heads around. So you'll have to deal with that if you buy the constitutional silver and you plan on using it in the open market once we get to where silver is widely accepted directly as currency, either in the gray market, black market, or possibly even in the white market if the government goes ahead and kisses and blesses the use of it, like they should, like it is in the Constitution. Article 10, sorry. All right, so that being said, if you can't get 999 fine or better silver, if bullion grade silver is not available, then constitutional silver is the way to go, all right? Because let's be honest, it's better than nothing, all right? Now, I expect debate aplenty down in the comments below, but I will try to answer as many counterpoints as I'm able. I understand if you disagree, okay? But, I mean, constitutional silver will come into play, but why fiddle with that right now? Let that be the last thing in line. When silver, look, here's the deal. So, silver spot price say is $19. Your gas station owner, your vendor, or your farmer's market guy is probably not going to give you too much quibble over, a dime-sized piece at those spot prices because you're talking, what, $3? It's probably the silver value in a 90% and then probably $1.50 in a 40%. Okay, just kind of back of the napkin math. But once you get into the $200 to $600 to $800 or $1,100 range, now this becomes a real issue. Now they're on you like, grease on a pork chop. They're trying to figure out, hey, man, before I make the move on this and accept this for, a set of tires, are you gonna, is this thing for real or what? This sort of thing. Or a tire. It's just a dime. But you get my drift. And so it's just so many variables that are going to cause so many, hitches in the process. And you want to take out all those hitches ahead of time by going ahead and buying the stuff that is uncirculated, fully, marked, clearly marked with the purity and weight, ready to go and sometimes assayed. You want to go ahead and just have that first. If you want to have some constitutional in the background, have it. All right. But you'll probably end up exchanging it for something a little tighter like bullion grade silver Or if you find that specific vendor or place that wants to sell you stuff and they like the Constitutional Silver, bingo, you are in like Flint. You're not going to lose with Constitutional Silver. Well, not value, but you're probably going to lose time, which we talked about this morning, how time is going to be our enemy here when things really get to moving, all right? So keep that in mind with Constitutional Silver, and I await your counterpoints or your agreement if that's the case. All right, so let's move on from that, and we're going to talk about economic reporting real quick. Now, you guys see how they spin the abysmal economic data? We know it's abysmal. We've seen it building since February. All right, but you see how they spin this stuff to look like there's nothing but good things going on, right? Trotting out the mystical China deal claptrap one week, and then, they're going to open up the cities and the towns bunk the next week. Using the analogy you like, all right? But it's nothing more than them spinning too many plates, okay? Playing musical chairs, or sticking their finger in the dike to keep the dam from breaking, right? Or trying to hold back a tsunami with plywood. That's what I kind of picture. I picture, Jerome Powell and Steve Mnuchin and even President Trump trying to hold back this tsunami of just bad economic energy trying to flow completely over, first, second, and third world countries. All right, and they're trying to hold it back with plywood. It's a tsunami, man. It's coming, and the derivatives are as huge as ever, $14 quadrillion, possibly, between the shadow banking and regular banking. Good luck, all right? And the longer they hold it back, the more force it's going to have. So this is why, I'll even agree to this point. If all you can stack is constitutional dimes, like 40%, if that's all you can do it. Please do it, because even those will benefit greatly once all of this derivatives yuck, just blast and wash over everything. So I'll agree to that point with Constitutional Silver. All right. So, let me think here. Yeah. So, we always watch these numbers come out. We always watch, and at the beginning of the quarter, we think, yeah, man, this time they're going to have to pay the piper and admit that we're in the worst economic cyclone there's ever been and accept the consequences. But no, every quarter, they come out with intellectually insulting spin, spouting untruths about fixing this and fixing that, when all they ever really do is throw money at critical hotspots to keep the system from imploding. Let me flip this over here. I mean, honestly, they literally have the money catapult. Throw money at it. Throw it. Oh, no, the catapult broke. It's never going to work. Well, we got to fix it first. There's your problem. And all this jazz, they're trying to, basically, put a Band-Aid on it, as it were. But the bleeding's happening, and the bleeding's getting more severe. All right? So, speaking of throwing money, did you guys know this weekend, by the way, when we were celebrating this weekend, or if you weren't celebrating, depending on what your local government's allowed you to do, but did you know this weekend that the Fed, or the U.S. Federal Reserve, as it were, these guys pumped $5.25 trillion into the overnight repo lending pool for the banks. You guys remember that, right? You guys remember this whole overnight interbank lending rate thing that happened back in September? Remember when the overnight bank lending rate shot up to over 10%? And this is while the interest rates were like at 0.75 or 0.5%. The overnight interbank lending rate shot up over 10% back in September because, don't tell anybody, Deutsche Bank freaking imploded. It completely melted down and triggered the bank derivative system, which is different from the regular commodities derivative system or other derivative systems that actually increase the volume of tradable shares of a commodity. The banking derivative system is more like an insurance plan. It's an insurance plan with phony assets that are supposed to back a bank up they can use to basically give them time to pawn off the hot potato or the bad derivative, sell them to another bank, which will trigger their derivatives, and that bank's derivatives will trigger somebody else's derivatives, and it goes into a giant circle until it gets back to, say, Deutsche Bank, and then the system comes crashing down. That's how it works. It's a big circle of commercial banks that have derivatives, and if all those things reach from head to tail, ka-frickin' bluey, it is done. Well, before Deutsche Bank was able to contaminate Goldman Sachs or Merrill Lynch or whoever, the Fed pumped a truckload of money back in September, which, started out at $750 billion a night to fix the trust system in the interbank lending rate. Now, the $750 billion, let's be clear, was not something they used daily or nightly, and it was gone. They used it daily or nightly, but they used it just to kind of keep the pool liquid for everybody. Nobody actually took the money and kept it in their coffers. They, used it overnight to cool things off. Then the money went back into the pool the next day. to work again. But the thing was, every single day the issue got worse. The lending got, the trust wasn't gone just because money was there, and the Fed had to continue increasing that amount to keep things quiet in the commercial banking system. Remember, also we had silver for delivery. Man, I think it was like 65 million ounces were set for people to take delivery of out of the COMEX, which I'm pretty sure they can't handle another hit like that. And in September, there's one 3 times the size of that coming. Okay, so that's why, a lot of people say September's the time. Silver Game of Thrones says, oh yes, this fall it's going to be all hell break loose. And I totally agree with him. Okay, so anyway, getting off the reservation a little bit. All right, but yeah, man, these guys, they're messing with the interbank lending rate, and the Fed and the Treasury, they're sitting there and they're pumping all this money in there. So, $750 billion back in September, it was almost a year ago. And now that's ballooned to 7 times that amount today they need in a single night to keep things cool with no end in sight. It's going to keep increasing. Now, what's wrong with this picture? What's wrong with this picture is that $1,200 of stimulus to some of us over the course of 6 months is supposed to, be great. Yet the failing, bloated, dying commercial banks can get $5 trillion plus infusions whenever they need them because there's no legislation required for that. It's just a matter of the Fed and the Treasury giving a nod to each other. Then they print the money and they send it. I'm sorry, they click the money and then they send it. All right, that's basically how it goes. All right, but the stuff we need, for the people that need the stimulus and need the increase or enhance, unemployment benefits, which is only a fraction compared to what the banks are getting, it's deliberated for 4 months in the Congress of the United States and all this crazy mess, and they're going on about it, and there will fall recess, and we'll come back, and Labor Day, we'll think about, and we're considering this and considering that. But you can go ahead and just click into existence $5-point-something trillion for the banks because they need it now. It's our money. It's our money, and we need it now. Right? J.G. Wentworth. These guys are insatiable. They're insatiable little banking piggies. They just eat everything in sight. Anyway. This is going to help me segue talking about how they, manipulate the system and use it for their buddies, but not necessarily for us. And I'm going to use this to talk about price controls, which is another form of manipulation. All right. With the economic numbers and with the cooling off of the inflation and all that stuff. So price controls, you guys are familiar with that saying, right? Price controls. Anyone that's familiar with hyperinflation, especially in second or third world countries, can anybody say Zimbabwe again? Remember they shut their market down last week? In second world, third world countries, they're famous for their leadership, openly mandating price controls over businesses of all kinds when that hyper or meta or regular inflation, or superinflation kicks in. So you have regular inflation, which gets kind of high. Meta inflation is, now it's hurting the people. Hyperinflation is just wholesale destruction. All right. So when the hyperinflation comes in, eggs go up to 60 or 80 times as much as they normally were. The government steps in and says, hey, you can't charge that much. I don't care what the currency's doing. You keep eggs at $2.50 for half a dozen. Okay? All right? And so, businesses, they ballyhoo and complain about it, but they're really at the mercy of their corrupt governments, who will declare them, gratefully heroes of the state as their businesses die a hard death from being wiped out by the very inflation they were battling against for the greater good. Yay! Yeah, and they go down in flames and they never go into business again. All right? Now, did I say second and third world countries are doing this? Oh, wait a minute. Not just second and third world countries. First world countries are doing it too right now, but they're very tricky about it. Instead of directly mandating price controls for business owners and their goods and services, we, or first world countries, they use commodities to keep prices low using derivatives. Okay? So the commodities markets, they all have derivatives, right? Oil or energy, what have you. I mean, why control, why just, not control the price from the source? You can go ahead and control all the individual goods and services, but go ahead and just control the price of materials that create the goods and services, right? Why not control the source? It's so much easier that way, by the way. So here's what I think. Here's how I think it works. All right, I'm going to slow down because I'm getting excited. In the case of the United States, the Treasury and the Fed, they buy derivatives directly on the open market, which they're not allowed to do. And I mean a lot of them. Okay, and I mean everything. They buy everything from energy to food to materials, and they buy enough of these shares, these derivative shares, to control the prices right out the gate. All right, by selling them in bulk when there's an inflationary flare-up. You have these inflationary spikes that come up, and you might not notice them. You might notice them. You might see that chuck steak jumped $3 a pound, and that's an inflationary spike. Gas jumping up $1.50 a gallon, in a week. That's an inflationary spike. So they're watching these things and they're monitoring them, and they're using various derivatives in the commodities markets, be it oil, be it lumber, be it pork bellies or rice or beans or whatever, corn, and they're selling these derivatives into the market to control these prices and to control these inflationary flare-ups, okay? But this creates a false perception. And it not only creates a false perception in inflation, but it also has people thinking that the dollar remains strong, when in fact it's the falling of the prices of goods and services that are being artificially weakened by the derivative selling. See? So you don't have to control, the individual goods. And in fact, you don't even have to worry about the dollar too much. Just make the goods and services that are valued in dollars so weak in price that the dollar looks strong. Very tricky stuff, isn't it? It's actually very simple, very sinister, but very, very tricky nonetheless. Because, who would think at that level? All right, now look, I'm going to tell you something. If it sounds like I'm complaining, I'm not complaining. This is the type of price manipulation I'm all for right now. And is, for all intents and purposes, a form of public stimulus in and of itself. It really is, because it lends to the things we need and we use, and it keeps those prices from climbing into the midnight sky, so we can continue to use the dying dollars to get what we need, right? So I'm not complaining, even though it sounds like I'm complaining. I'm not. I'm grateful for it. I really am. I'm grateful for it. The system is crippled beyond repair. It's not going to come back. The dollar system's not going to come back. Once it's on the way out right now. And so why not just make it easy for people to get what they need as long as the resources hold out? Now, once we get to where there's not anything to buy because, we've been overloaded with dollars and everybody's bought everything up and everybody has everything that's worth having, that's going to be a whole other problem. So we're not even going to consider, we'll talk about that later. All right. But what irks me about the derivative suppressing is in precious metals right now, because they do it in precious metals too, not just oil and the other stuff. But what really irks me is the suppression of precious metals, because if the dying dollar can appear this super under these conditions by being boosted with the derivative system, imagine what freely traded physical silver and physical gold could do right now in its true form. If these guys were able to take off and do what they were supposed to do, like, you'd have your $660 an ounce silver, you'd have your, $7,500 gold, because it's really going to be a 9-to-1 ratio, I think, silver to gold. And that's what I'm waiting for, by the way, with my stack. The reason why I have so much silver is because I plan on taking probably 20 or 30% of it and rolling it back over into gold. Remember, I sold a bunch of gold to get more silver at 120-to-1. Now, I'm waiting for it to get, hopefully around 15 or 10-to-1. And then I'm going to roll back over some into gold. So I can rediversify my stack, but at the expense of the metals movement, not out of pocket. Did that make sense? So it's basically trading metals against one another when the ratios shift in and out of sync. So, okay. Anyway, so it's just really irksome, because, the thing is, if we could use gold and silver as a competing currency like it's supposed to be against the dollar, as the dollar's dying, you bring gold and silver in its true form, we could easily do things like take care of our families. I mean, easily. 10 ounces to your name? You have no idea. You'd be able to at least pay off your debt, or, create, some kind of, savings plan that would pay down your house while you're doing other things. And if you have more silver and some gold, all right, then you could set up your family really nicely, in fact. And then when you got something left over, you're like, oh, Mabel, I can't believe how much we got left over. We should do something cool. Like open a school, open a hospital. Now, I'm not saying everybody's going to have enough of precious metal to open hospitals and schools, but if you follow my story, I have Creo the Lone Traveler. He's a big advocate in that story, his fictional character of, he's a big advocate of kids that have either been, orphaned or, it's maybe come from poor circumstances. And his thing is, of course, the food trucks that are famous in the stories, and of course, the hospitals that he is a huge donor to. These Silver Life Children's Hospitals. And there I go again, getting off the reservation. You know what? I think I'm going to go ahead and continue the story on Friday. We'll have a little fun with that. And we'll see what happened to our heroes that managed to escape from the Antarctic with the passengers from the Silver Maiden, the Ice Maiden that got marooned there in the ice, and then of course expat Stacker with his super Migaloo submarine was able to buy time to get them out. Well, he's still there. They're heading on to the Kakatslattern ice resort that Fred Gard bought. Lots of fun with that. All right, but no, seriously, guys, that's the thing. It's like gold and silver are the answer to a lot of problems right now. They're the answer to a lot of problems right now. If they could work as a competing currency, we could actually start to turn this economy around. Be doing things like, have enough economic activity and money velocity to have owners want to create jobs, want to get back into the game because they can see that sound money coming across the horizon, and it's going to make things better. But governments won't do that right now because they'll lose power with the dollar, and the dollar gives them an ability to reign supreme unchecked because there's no limit to how many dollars you can print. Limits to how much gold and silver can be minted, no limits to the amount of dollars that can be printed or clicked into existence. All right? So, but those days are still ahead of us. The days when we can use physical gold and silver as, sound money, as competing currencies to actually buy things and use them at their fair value, their freely traded physical value. And, like Silver Joker says, the future is still on its way. That future is still on its way. All right? Okay, I think that I have done this show some justice. So, thanks for tuning in, guys. All right? Thanks for tuning in. The fact is, we do need a dollar. I need a dollar, dollar, dollar. That's what I need. Hey, hey. I love that song. It's if you listen to the whole song and stuff, it's about a guy that's down and out. And, he's just trying to get a foothold and get another chance. All right, well, we don't need to do that because we already got gold and silver. We have the foothold and we have another chance waiting to be used. And it's going to take the failure of this system to give us that opportunity to use that resource fully. And we're going to do that. All right, but anyway, we do need a dollar right now, currently, as is the coin of the realm, and it helps us get things that we need. As Expat Stacker says, he says, the dollar is what we need to get by in the near term. And that's absolutely correct. Thank you, Expat Stacker, for that. But what we most need a dollar for, or 22 of them to be exact, is to buy just one more ounce of bullion grade silver for our stacks. Ain't that right, guys? Just 1 ounce more. How much silver is enough? Just 1 ounce more. That's right. So look here, I'm Silver5150 telling you that your stack is not whack. It's not whack. It can't hurt you. It can only help you to stack at this point. Honestly, we're at a point now where the springboard for silver is wound so tight that any purchase you make is an absolute win. I never thought I'd see this day, but it is. It's just a matter of time of letting silver do what it's supposed to do, mature, and get out there and start to become the investment powerhouse that it's supposed to be instead of the speculation that it is right now. All right, anyway, yes. I'm Silver5150 telling you your stack is not whack, and that just 10 ounces of silver to your name, 10 ounces of bullion grade silver to your name, keeps you 99% ahead of the game. All right, I'll catch you guys tomorrow for the morning update. Stay safe, stay healthy, and keep stacking. Peace.